It should be recording now. So this is the eBird homepage. Next week, today we're mainly going to talk about how to enter a checklist on the computer and how to set up your account like we just did. Next week, we'll talk about how to find birds that you want to see. Mainly, we'll be using this Explorer tab here. And then the following week, we'll learn how to use your cell phone to enter data in the field. So, okay, the next thing, let's go ahead and we'll show you a video on eBird.
Every day, millions of people around the world enjoy watching birds and recording their sightings.
What if there were a way to take all of these observations, yours, ours, everyone's, and put them all in one place?
If we could do this, we would fundamentally transform not just birding, but science and conservation.
From this idea emerged eBird. Put simply, eBird is a way for anyone around the world to store their birding observations, their photos, their sound recordings, and make them available to educators, scientists, and birders. It's incredibly easy to use, and it's incredibly powerful. All you do is let us know where you went birding, when, how far you traveled, and what you saw. It's powerful because hundreds of thousands of people all around the world are doing it, and it's growing. eBird already safeguards 500 million sightings, information that allows all of us to understand the movements and needs of birds at global scales. eBird maintains your lists for you and shares them with other birders from around the world. By sharing, it's now possible for anyone, anywhere, to find your target birds and the best birding hotspots any time of the year. Before eBird, there was no way to comprehensively understand population-level movements of many species. By combining your sightings with remote-sensed habitat data from NASA, we're able to generate species distribution models that provide an unparalleled view of where and when birds are in the landscape. Scientists and students all over the world are now able to use eBird datasets for their research at a variety of spatial scales. These observations help inform better conservation strategies, opening the door to the future of bird conservation. And this is just the beginning. With the help of millions of people who come to eBird each year, we are creating a free, open access system that is easy to use, fun, and rewarding. Rewarding for birders, for scientists, for conservationists, and ultimately the birds themselves. Go to eBird.org or download eBird Mobile to get started, all for free. By joining eBird, you're joining a global team of people that share your passion for birds. Be a part of it.
So there we have it. Now the next thing, once you sign up for eBird, now you're a citizen scientist. It's all the more reason to get out there and start birding and entering your birds because it counts for something now. It's your lists are now used for science and research. Let's take a look under the science tab here. And they were showing some of this, but where all the information you can get, eBird status and trends, how to use the tools, research and conservation applications. But there's a lot of information here under the science tab. We're going to go under here's eBird status and trends. So let's say the status and trends, say we want to find the status and trends of a Wilson snipe. So we'll just type in Wilson and here's snipe. And here we'll do the abundance. Get it started here, and you can sort of see the map move and how they move way up to the north. Then later in the year, we can't see. See if I can make it a little smaller. I'll try to. There we go. So now we can see the whole. I'll start it over. So let's hold on. I'll get it back. Hopefully to start here. Well, let me drag it. So, but you can see at the bottom here, the time in May, in June, July, they're all up here, and then they start coming down in August, September. You can actually download the annotation too, animation that is. But you can do this for all kinds of birds. You can see the time of year, like October. Here, the abundance, you can see quite a high abundance down south. Here's the abundance maps itself. So you can see in the breeding season here, the breeding season, June 7th through the July 6th. So in the breeding season, by the color, you can tell they're up here in Alaska and Canada mainly. There's a few down here in the US, but most of them are up here. The darker this color is, the higher the number of abundance species. Now in the non-breeding season, the blue, they're down in Florida and down along the Gulf Coast. And a few of them are here in California. Of course, we do have a few in Oregon. Breeding distribution, they come down more to the central US and like the Ohio Valley, the Midwest. Okay, let's see next. So mainly eBird will do two main things for you. It will keep track of the data for you that you input into eBird, and it allows you to submit your data. Here's my eBird account. You can see I've seen 468 species, 37.5 photos. I've done 2,352 checklists. This year, I've observed 126 species. This month, I've done 79. And as you go along here, you can check on checklist, and then here's all the checklists that I've done. Of course, I've done quite a few, so it will just go on forever here. And within the checklist, it's nice because you can check several things here. You can click on the date, and it'll give you what was on the checklist and what I saw. This happened to be the 2 days ago at Basket Slough at the Overlook. You can edit if you want to edit, share it with somebody else. I was with Tim, so I shared it with him. That's why it shows two people here instead of just one. Also, this is where if I click on add media, you can pick the bird that you want to and say, I had a picture of a snow goose. I just click here and I can download the photo of the snow goose here and put it in, and it'll appear on eBird. Let's see here. You can go in here and edit the species from here. I can click on here, this little symbol, and it will show you where I was at and the GPS coordinates for that location. So you could put those in your phone and go to this location, and it would give you the exact way to go to the location. And when we go in here, it's pretty exact. And you can see, here we are, it shows right there the overlooking Basket Slough. Now, this is from a little different time frame because right now I have a lot of water down here. So this photo is taken at a different time, but it gives a pretty accurate reflection. Let's go back. Okay, and then here you can see my eBird for this year versus previous years. I can click on show all. And this is through April 15th, through today for this year. And we'll compare last year I saw 144 by April 15th. And you can just go along and see all the, so at one time in 2016, I had 201 by this date. So I'm a little behind this year. It'll show you your last checklist are here on the right. And this can be sorted in a number of different ways. Here we'll show you in a minute. It also shows here species by state and province. So I've seen the most in Oregon, 285 lifetime. This year, 126 and 79 this month. Now in Arizona, I've seen 261 and I haven't been any other place yet. This year it's only birded in Oregon. You can see the latest media that was updated. Last time I put something in was the redneck, the blackneck stilts here. And let's see, go make sure I'm not missing anything here. Let's go back into my species observed, because I can go in here and it will give a list of all the species I've seen, all 468 species. The latest thing that I saw that was a live bird was a Ross goose. Saw it on March 28th, and here's the address. So I saw it out Ankeny National Wildlife Refuge. If I click right on here, it'll show what else I saw out there. I also saw mallards and some egrets. If I go on the date, then it'll give me the checklist from that date. And it'll also give you a location here. As you can see, this is a map, a photo of, I was parked at what they call the Willow Tree parking lot out of Ankeny, and the goose was right across the street here. And let's see, basically it's endless, the type of data and things you can get from here. I mean, just looking at these lists and your photos, everything, you can find out quite a bit. So now let's go and find out how you submit a checklist. I'll get a checklist I made up here earlier to go through. So the first thing we'll do here, using the computer, say you've just kept a list on your notepad and stuff, and you don't want to take time in the field to enter it on your phone. Just keep a list with you, write it down, and then you'll come here to your computer, log into your eBird, and hit the submit button here. Now, the first thing it will ask you is what was your location. I can either go in here, if it's a previous location, and find it. So let's see, I can go down to Ankeny National Wildlife Refuge and pick these. I've got lots of different places I've been, so there's a lot of ones in here. Arizona, I got Buena Vista Road out by I've got the Buena Vista Ferry Crossing. So let's say I don't really have it as a new location. I can go here on the map, click in here, find it on the map, and I can put in like Polk for Polk County. Come down here, Polk County. It'll bring up all the hot spots for Polk County. If you want to get it in a little more, just hit this plus sign, enlarge the map. Then you can drag it over. And let's say up here at Falls City is where I birded. You can just click on this little blue. And so here's Falls City, Oregon, inside the city limits. Here's another one. This is Forest View Lane here. Here's Sheldon Avenue in Falls City. So you can see all the different addresses. And if none of those are your address, and let's see here. We'll show you here in a second how to do a new place. But for now, we're going to use Liberty Road in Dallas. So I just clicked on here, click continue. Then it takes you to here. You'll put in the date, April 15th. And we're going to say, here's the different ways that they, your observation type. So there's traveling. That's if you travel a specific distance, like over 1/10 of a mile. Like if you're walking on a trail or driving around a refuge, out in a field birding and walking. I mean, if you're just staying close to your car and just walking a few feet and stuff, that would come under stationary, where you stayed at a fixed location. Excuse me. A fixed location would be like, say you went to Basket Slough and you just went to the gazebo there along Highway 22, and you just stood inside the gazebo and were just looking out, and you didn't walk all around. Historical is what you'd use if you want to put in your past birding list, that maybe you had some lists that you, before you started eBird, you could use historical and put them in if you had enough information to know the location, etc. Incidental, that's when birding wasn't your primary purpose. For example, I was just on my way to Woodburn to go shopping, but oh boy, I saw 20 hawks on the way up. I could just hit incidental and report the 20 hawks. Another example, I was just driving out to Kaiser Station the other day, and I was driving on Perkins Road, and all of a sudden I looked out in this field and there were 100 crows in the field. So I pulled over next to the road, and then I put in and counted the crows. Actually, there were 103, and I just put it in as an incidental one and put in 100 crows, because that's pretty unusual to see that many. So we're going to say we're traveling. Then I'll ask you the time that when you went birding. when did you start? We'll say we started at 1:15 p.m. Next, we'll say how long have we been birding? 30 minutes. And what was the distance? Let's say we went 1.1 miles. And your party size. And we'll say there were 2 people. Now, you don't have to put anything here in the checklist, but if you want to, I could say sunny day with temperature near 68 degrees. This is just basically anything you want to put in there. It's whatever makes sense to you. Once we've completed all this, we'll go down here to continue and click on continue. And then it brings up a list of birds that you could possibly see. And this is based on your exact location. So based on eBird data, it knows the birds that have been seen in that area, and it'll give you a list of birds based on that. Now I have here show subspecies. All that does is, like, if we go down here a ways, I'll go down to Junco, and here it has the Junco, the slate colored Junco. So it just gives you the different subspecies of, like, white crowned sparrow, yellow-billed white crowned sparrow. Probably I don't use that too much. Once in a while I'll put Oregon Junco, but most of the time I just put dark-eyed Junco. So you can get rid of that just by clicking this. And then I'll go down to dark-eyed Junco now. And here we go. It doesn't show the subspecies anymore. Now, if you saw a rarity, you'd click on this rarity, and it would show you the rarities, and the Ross's goose would be rare, Emperor's goose, and it has rare next to it. Anytime you put in a rare bird, then in the comments under that bird, we'll show you in a little bit, then you have to put in a description of what you saw. Now you can even narrow it down more by saying group by most likely birds. So here, groups based on 1,572 complete checklists for Polk County. So specifically based for Polk County, these are the most common birds that you would see right now in order: cackling geese and on down the line. So sometimes that can help you if you just want something simple. So we'll just leave it like this, and we'll start our checklist. So the first thing that I have down here that we saw 3 mourning doves. So up here in the jump to species, I just start spelling out mourning dove. And here, after just putting MOU in, here's mourning dove, I click on it and I put in 3. And you can just go back here to jump the species. And the next thing, we saw an Anna's hummingbird. So start typing in Anna's, and there it is, click on it. And we saw 4 Anna's hummingbirds. Go up here, spotted towhee. So now another way you can do it besides typing in, I could go SPTO for the abbreviation for spotted towhee, and put spotted towhee, and we saw 1 spotted towhee. Go back up to jump here. Now we saw a song sparrow. So another way I can put it in is I can go in here and just start putting in sparrow. And I'll start listing all the sparrows here. And we want song sparrow. So click on it. And we saw one song sparrow. Go back up to here. You can go in here and change the species if you want it to, put information, change the species to something else. I very seldom use that. If I'm going to change the species, I just delete this bird here and I go in and put in the right species. Now, what I did here is let's click back up here and get rid of this. We'll do this, go over again. I saw a red-winged blackbird. So I can start typing in red and here red-winged blackbird. And we saw 5 red-winged blackbirds. And that's all the birds I saw. Now, another way you can put it in if you want to, they're put in orders you can see by category like blackbird, wood warblers, others. You could just arrow through here, and I saw a Buick's wren and just put that in that way. But I think it's a lot easier to use this jump to species. So once we're done putting in all of our birds, it'll ask you here, are you submitting a complete checklist of the birds you were able to identify? Yes, we did. Very seldom would you want to put in no, because as long as you put everything in your checklist could identify, then that's it. If you couldn't identify a bird, it flew way too fast and you couldn't identify it, that's okay. You hear a bird, but you can't tell what it is, no problem. This only means that you reported all the birds that you could identify. So then once we're done, we hit submit. And there we go, you've submitted an eBird list. Here you can see your eBird list. I click on, there's several things you can do here. Now, I put in a Buick's wren, but we didn't really see that. So I'm going to go over here to remove, and I can just click remove. Yes, I want to remove it, okay. And it's off my checklist that easy. You could also share your checklist with somebody. So I can go in here and share. I've shared with quite a few people, but I just arrow down on my list. The first time you would have to put the person's email that's tied to their eBird account or their username. For my username's ORAZ Birder for Oregon, Arizona. I just put that in there. I could go down if I had multiple messages. Here I could say this is one of 3 checklists and share my checklist with the person. And they would receive an email that they would just click on, and this said, Mike just shared a checklist with you. Would you like to accept the checklist? You'd go into your eBird account and you could click on the eBird account and ask, do you want to accept the shared eBird list? You would check on accept it, and this would show up, and it would be part of your eBird, even though you didn't keep the list. If you were birding with me, then you would have this. Now, let's say you were birding with me and you didn't see the red-winged blackbirds and stuff. You could just take your checklist, say remove, okay, and then this would represent the list for you. And maybe you saw a bird that I didn't see or other people didn't see. You could go into edit species and I could go in here, oh, well, I saw a wood duck. So you saw a wood duck and the rest of us didn't. So you could save that in, and now the wood duck shows on your list because this is your specific list, no one else's. So, okay, so there's one way for the list. Now, if I go into my eBird and I go to checklist, here's the checklist, 15th on Liberty Road. I want to see the checklist, just click on the date, and there it is. So now let's do one more submit a checklist. So click on submit up here. This time I'll use one of my locations. Let's see, I'll just arrow down to, let's use Cold Springs Campground over in Central Oregon. So I click on it and it shows it. I hit continue. Put today's date. Let's say I did this one on April 11th and I just got back and wanted to do it on my computer. So I'll put April 11th. At the campground, I was traveling. I started at 9 in the morning, 9 a.m. I spent an hour and 10 minutes there. I walked half a mile, and I was the only one doing it. And this time I won't put anything in the comments. Hit continue. As I did before, it'll bring up the list of birds. Cold Springs Campground is the one we're doing. Say, oh no, I didn't want that. I can change it. I really meant, let me go down here. Age. I really meant Indian Forest Campground. I click on that, continue, and I changed it to Indian Fork Campground. It's still the 11th and traveling. Still, everything else stays the same. I just changed only the location and hit continue. It brings up our list. So I saw some quail, California quail, and saw 5 California quail. I saw the Eurasian collared doves. Easy abbreviation, there it comes up. And just one. I saw a green heron. Aha, green heron doesn't show up there in my list. It must be a rare bird. So in that case, I would have to put on show rarities. Now if I put in green heron, there it is, and it shows it as rare, and I saw one. So I would have to go to add details, and I'd have to give a description of what it was. Rufous, cap, long necked bird in swampy area, or whatever your description was. You can add media there and just go back up and keep going with your list. You could also put in here seen as you walk past campground B. Oops, misspelling there. Campground B on the other side of the marsh. So if somebody else wants to go there and look for it, they could find it. Okay, so we have our description. We'll go on, and we saw northern flicker. It's another one here. Okay, it does show up here. We saw one northern flicker. While I'm here, I also saw white-hooded woodpeckers. I don't have to enter. I'm already hearing the woodpeckers. I can put white-headed and put the one white-headed right there without going to here. Now, if I would have seen any of these other woodpeckers, so let's say I saw Williamson sapsucker 2, I could add that in here without going over the jump species. We also saw a jay. Give me the jays, and I saw pinion jay 2. Go to jump species. We saw a crow, American crow 2. Go back to the jump species. Saw mountain. Oh, let's do this another way. We'll go say chickadee. Okay, saw mountain chickadee 1. Now I saw some swallows, but I'm not sure which swallow it was, whether it was violet green or a tree. So I'm going to go to swallow species here, click on that. Now I saw 5 swallows, but I couldn't identify them, but I knew they were swallows. So you can put those in there like that. We saw some juncos, dark-eyed junco, saw 2, and we saw some pygmy nuthatches. Oops. Pygmy nuthatch, there it is, and I saw 5 of those. So then we're done entering all of our species. Now, in addition to adding details, your details here, you can go down to this breeding code and put in a breeding code. Here's the list that shows, like, you choose the highest code on this list, starting from the bottom here. So a flyover would be the lowest one on the list, even, lowest. Let's say we saw this pygmy nuthatch carrying nest material. So that's the highest I could go. It wasn't doing any of these other things. It was just carrying nesting material. So I could click on here and say carrying nesting material. It just helps. You don't have to do this, but it can help with science. And sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. During this time of year, I try to do it. So now once we're done, we come back to the slide again. Are you submitting a complete list? Yes. And then just hit submit. It said, oh, please fix this item. So I put in my description, and it says I have to click and put complete in there. But I know I didn't see this over here. I'm gonna just get rid of it. Warn you that it needs detail since it's rare. So I think I'll just change the species. I'll get all kinds of species. Let's go with sparrow. Might be easier to change it. And we'll say it was a chipping sparrow instead. Change. And then here I get rid of this. Doesn't apply. And this part of the description doesn't apply, so just delete it. Okay, so now it's been updated. I can hit submit. And we have the list that we submitted. Okay, we've covered that. looking at my list to make sure we cover everything. I'll try to remember next time, but I'll show you the email that you would get. I forgot to send, Tim send me an email with a list on it so we could see what it looks like when you share a checklist, but I'll make sure I mark that here and show you next time. So we'll go back to my eBird and go to checklist. And for some reason, it doesn't show the other checklist yet. See if I can refresh it and get it to show the one that we just did. Sometimes it can take a little while for it to update. Okay. Now let's see if I did send in that one checklist. What could have happened is when I got, when the reviewer would have been tipped off about this, each county, like in Oregon, has a eBird reviewer that reviews checklists from that area. And so if you put something in there that was rare and they look at your, if you have a picture, that helps a lot, or a recording of the sound. But if you just put in a description, they might ask you for more of a description, or is this what you really saw? Or, you know, are you sure it could have been such and such? But they have to make sure that the eBird lists are accurate. And so sometimes you might get an email like that. I just got one the other day. And the reason I got it is I had a chucker in my yard the other day, believe it or not, 2 chuckers. Well, it turns out they were just pets or released birds. So they aren't really wild birds, so they don't count in eBird. But I had just put them in there to see what would happen. And sure enough, I got a email from the reviewer saying, hey, you can't put these kind of birds in there. I said, I know. So I went into my list and I just got rid of them. So sometimes you get reminders like that. Once in a while, I've made a mistake. And when you're doing it out in the field, sometimes you might be putting in one northern flicker, but you put it in the space below and you hit the wrong bird. And here you've got some other unusual bird. Well, they might get a thing. The reviewer, since he knows me, might send me a thing and say, well, Mike, did you just make a mistake here on saying this bird? I'll have to write back, oh, yes, I made a mistake and hit the wrong button. So I just correct it and everything's fine then. Okay. Let's go into, we mentioned in passing about how you can add the photo to it and share. So here's a share button in the checklist that you have where you can share it. Over here, this media button is where you can add the media, like a photo or a recording. Just click on add media. You can add more details. Like it says on here, you can add up to 10 files per species. So you could upload 10 photos. They prefer JPEG, but you can put into PNG or GIF. There's a minimum file, 10 megabytes. Also, WAV, most best ones for sound files. And then once you were done, you just hit done, and they would be added to your system, to your list. I'll check and see if I have any list here. So my eBird. All these ones here that you see a little person here means I've shared that checklist with somebody. Well, here we go. Here should be a checklist with a photo on it. It has a little symbol here, photo. So let's go into this eBird checklist. And sure enough, there's one with a photo. And it's that one with the black neck stilts when Tim and I were out at Basket Slough. So even though I submitted the checklist, once I shared it with Tim, he was able to add this photo. So that's how it would look once it'll even go onto your eBird list, even though you didn't share the photo. I don't think I have any ones that show sound, but also on the list, it will show your route that you took. You can just click on here, and here's the route. We walked from the parking lot out here and way back to the end of the marsh and around. So it was quite a long trip. So I think the last thing we'll talk about is here under the Help tab, you can click on this and there's a lot of good information here. You know, get started with eBird, how to enter your sightings. You can click here, there's 9 different articles. eBird protocols, you name it. My eBird and how to use it. Frequently asked questions, how to count birds, choosing and managing your location, some tips and tricks, how to download data, troubleshooting your account. But there's a lot of good information there. Let's go back. Oh, here's some more down below here. There's stuff on Merlin and the Macaulay Library. That's where all the media is kept, such as the photos and recordings. You can download the bird data, but quite a bit of information here. And then the last thing we'll talk about, and then I'll get to any questions. Under Explore, we'll cover this more in the following days. If you go down to Explore, there's some more resources. There's getting started with eBird under the help. I always have trouble finding this one area that I'm looking for. But there is a eBird Essentials class that you can take, and it's a good class to take on top of this one. Let's see if it's under. Here we go. So let's go back. I ended up clicking on getting started with eBird. And then if you right here, free eBird Essentials course. Click on that. eBird Essentials. You can just sign up for it. You can say enroll now. It's a free course and it'll go through, but it takes about 1 to 3 hours to go through it because it's pretty in depth and has 5 different lessons on 14 topics and including 9 instructional videos. So with that, I'll minimize this and open this back up. And see if there's any questions here. I'll go through the list here.
Sorry to join you late, Mike.
Oh,
I could also invite people to unmute themselves and ask questions that way.
okay.
I don't see any questions in the
I
chat. Oh, you do? Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Now, can you show how to enter a new location? Okay. Now let's see if I can remember how to do that. I'll share the screen again. So, eBird. I go into a map and put Marion County. And here we have, so let me minimize this a little bit. Now you're supposed to be able to just left click on here and it should let you put in a place on the map. And so, so let's say I was at this location. Not letting me. So in that case, what we're going to do, this is a good enter. Okay, edit the name of a. And it doesn't really answer what Tim, offhand, do you recall?
No, I'm not sure. Usually there's a place when you're entering a checklist right there.
Yeah,
You can,
that's what I've always done.
yeah, but I don't know.
I have always, let's see here.
Maybe you're not in the right submit place. You started with submit?
Yeah.
Huh.
Because, okay, here we are
So
submitting.
there you're in the location where you're adding a location, but it's not that's not part of the submit
Let's see
function.
if I put Salem. Oh, here I am. So here, when I put in name of location, it says Salem, Oregon, select a birding spot. So it already sees I have all these here. So find it on a map. That's the way I normally use it. I put in Oregon here. We'll see now if it will. Okay, for new locations, zoom as far as possible. So I hit this plus sign. I zoom in as far as possible. And let's find, so I'm a little away from this post. So it says, zoom in as far as possible and click on the map to place a green marker.
Yeah, that might have been it. You might not have been zoomed in far enough.
Okay, I wasn't zoomed in far enough. So here's the green marker. I just zoomed in on the map and you can move the marker, but so I put a arrowed in and I just clicked on it, got the green marker, and then you can, it says this is Cook County, and I can say test location. And I could put in my location. If you wanted to, and it was brand new, you could suggest it as a birding hotspot, but I'm not going to suggest this one. So let's try that again and see. So I don't know, maybe I just wasn't zoomed in enough. So let's go back to when we started here. I'm going to go back to the very beginning. Okay, so here we are where it tells you where did you bird. Let's say I put in Polk County, and I put in Polk County. I have to zoom in quite a ways. Let's go out even further. And so I was at the intersection at Ellendale Road and Oakdale. I just left clicked on this and it put a green dot on that. Then I'd put in the location, type it in. You can call it whatever you want to, Ellendale / Oakdale or wherever you want to call it. But that's how you would get a new location. And once you put in your name, you put continue, it would put the location up there for you to see in your actual, so let's say I just use this, your location that you just renamed would be right here. And you'd go on with the rest of your submitting. Okay, so I'm glad we made it through that. Even I learned a little something there. So let's see. Can you show how to enter your species? I need the basics. How do you enter data? Well, I think we did that, but let's just do a little refresher here. So when we first start out here, I'm going to get into my eBird so we can start afresh. So when you're first in your eBird.org and you've logged in, you can see I'm logged in here. You go to submit, click on submit. That's when you pick out where you're going to bird. You can either get it from your list if you have a list. If you don't have a list, you go down here and you put in the county, the state, whatever you want to find. So if I go Polk County, it'll bring up all the hot spots. You use a plus sign to get closer in. Because as you can tell, look at Basket Slough, all the different hot spots there are. There's lots of hot spots around, but let's say it was near Basket Slough. And I could tell, okay, it was over in this area off this road. I can click on here. It was Cottonwood Pond I wanted. So you click on the hot spot that you want to use. If I wanted to use the overlook, I could go here and click on the overlook. You could put the name of the place. Like if I start typing in Ankeny National Wildlife Refuge, it'll start giving me some of the Ankeny National Wildlife Refuge areas. So I could, and it gives me all the hot spots here. You just hit the plus to bring them up.
Mike, did you explain the difference between the reds and the blues?
Okay. The reds are, the small reds are current sightings. Blue are ones that are over 30 days old, personal sightings. Now, I'll see if I can find some red ones and some with that are big, large ones. I think if I go over to Basket Slough here, I'll be able to find some. Oops, I just made a place, personal spot. As you can see, you can really, aha, here's a red one. So when it's red like this means it's a current one and that it's a hot spot. So here's the key right here. Here's a birding hotspot. Here's a personal hotspot that was within 30 days. And here's a hotspot, a personal location. So if I click on this one, Ankeny National Wildlife Refuge, I click on this one. Here's the Pintail Egret Marsh Boardwalk. And so that means that there's sightings here that were within the last 30 days, where over here, these sightings are all over 30 days old. So if I click over here, there's Eagle Marsh, and I just hit continue, and it bring me up to where your date and effort is. Put in your date here that you want to use, the 15th, whether you were traveling, stationary, historic. Most of the time it'd be using traveling or stationary. So let's say I'm just going to the overlook gazebo there. So I'll be stationary. I went there at 9:10 a.m. I spent a half an hour there, 30 minutes. I was the only one that went there. And I won't put in comments and then hit continue. It shows your date here, stationary. Oh, it says I didn't put AM. So see, when you do leave something out, it will come back and have you fill that in. So continue, then it brings me up to the list where you enter your birds. So simply go up here to the jump species and start entering your bird, like mourning dove. Start spelling out mourning dove. It'll give you a drop-down list. And here's mourning dove. Click on it. It'll bring you to that area. And you put in how many mourning doves you saw. I saw 2. You just go back up to this jump to species to put in your next bird. So I started spelling it out that time. Let's say I just want to put in hummingbird. It'll show you the hummingbirds that are being seen now, and I'll put in Anna's, and there's 1 Anna's. If you know the 4-letter code, you can start putting that in, dark-eyed junco, and it'll bring you right to the, I saw 3 of those. So that's how you do it. If you see it along the edge here, you can just, like I saw Lincoln Sparrow 2, I can just click in that box and put 1 Lincoln Sparrow. So then once you're done putting all of your birds in, you come down here and say, yes, I'm submitting a complete checklist. I didn't see any other birds I'm not reporting. There were 2 birds I couldn't identify, but that's okay. I don't have to report those. If I don't know what they are, I reported all the ones I knew, and I hit submit. And it'll come up, and I just submitted another checklist. So that's how you do the checklist. Now let me go back. Where is the tab for the abundance map? Okay. So when we're in eBird, go to Science, click on Science, and you'll go down here to eBird status and trends. Click on that. You put in the species you want to put in. Let's put in Calliope hummingbird. And there it comes up, Calliope hummingbird. And here's the abundance map. Just click on it. And there you can see the breeding season for the Calliope hummingbird, May 31st, June 31st. Non-breeding, you can see when that is. Pre-breeding migratory, they start coming up near March through May. And you can see where they are during the breeding season here, along here, and you can see here in Eastern Oregon and up in Eastern Washington and up in the mountain west. Some of them don't have the actual abundance series. Let's see if I'll do the Wilson snipe again. Now in this case, it also has the abundance animation. Just click on that, bring it up, and there it goes, showing the movement by date down here. At any point, I can pause it right there, October 12th. Here's where they would be. If I click on it again, it'll start. So let's start it again. And let's say I want to know in June where they'll be. So it hits June, I hit June. So, oops, I hit it again. So in August, here's where they are. They're starting to come down. I hit it again and say, where are they in October? Or November, here they are. They've moved down to the Gulf Coast in Florida here. So it's a neat little thing, but it's under Science. Science, and then eBird status and trends. And let's go on. Well, good, Kathy entered eBird as we were doing it. Okay, no problem. I don't mind answering them again. It's good repetition, both for you and me. Okay, now I don't see any other questions. So are there any other questions?
Would you like me to invite
Sure.
people to turn their mics on?
Yes.
This will, so you'll get a little notice on your screen that'll make it a little easier for you to unmute yourself if you want. This is just voluntary if you'd like to actually ask Mike a question using your microphone.
Or if you have any other comments you'd like to add.
I'm sorry, I can't let you turn your camera on. That's just a feature of the webinar, but you can unmute yourself and ask a question or a comment. Sometimes that's easier than trying to figure out where the chat box is and typing that in.
Okay. Well, I guess with that, hopefully we'll see you next Thursday. That's the 22nd at 2:00 p.m. again. And then we'll go over how you can find the birds that you want to see. So you want to see that chipping sparrow or any other bird. We'll show you how you can use eBird to find out where you can see that bird. Well, thank you all for attending. Have a good day. We're gonna have some sunny days. So get out there and go birding, and now use your eBird and put in some checklist. So I'll end the session. Thank you all very much.